You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode 56. Cubs sweep the Sox. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the socials, Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram, and Fly the W on Facebook. Of course, you can email us, flythew670@gmail.com. Crawly, happy Thursday, and we both predicted it. Get out the brooms. The Cubs have swept the White Sox, and they are just one game under 500.
Yeah, how about that, right? Not only that, you basically ended the White Sox season last night as they start trading away the second the game's over. But
for sale sign went up. Yeah.
I mean, it was exciting. I was at the national show last night and listening on my Audacy app. And it was just one of those things where, like, it's funny because a lot of Cubs fans, a lot of Sox fans in Rosemont right now, there's tons of collectibles. If you are a sports fan of any kind, not just baseball, but basketball, football, hockey, boxing, you name it, this place is absolutely stoked all weekend, Wednesday through Sunday. So it was a lot of fun and a lot of smack talk on between Cubs and Sox fans, but all in good fun, right?
All in good fun. Unless did you happen to see the video making the rounds on social media out at 35th and Shields? A group of it based on some of the t-shirts I could see, Cub fans fighting amongst themselves inside of a luxury suite.
Yeah, sometimes you get some yahoos at these Cubs Sox games. It's I know a lot of people that don't like going to them. I don't mind, but usually that happens in the bleachers, not in the suite. So
in the suite, and this one guy, Crawly, is just sitting there eating his ice cream, watching the fight go down. Literally, didn't even take a stop. Like, set his ice cream down, put up a hand, yell something. He's just sitting there eating his ice cream.
I saw another one. I saw another one where it was a picture from the bleachers, and all of a sudden you see a Modelo tall boy go flying across, and I'm like, why would you
why could you make a $15, $16 beer, right?
Right. Why would you do that? I mean, just give me the beer. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, we'll knock it back. Absolutely. All right, game number 1, Crawly, Kyle Hendricks, Michael Kopech. Obviously a contrasting style as far as the pitchers go.
Yep, you got the finesse control guy versus the power guy. And I got to tell you, Dustin, I was a little bit nervous. So for Kyle Hendricks, this was his 12th career start against the White Sox, the second most crosstown classic starts by a Cubs pitcher of all time, just trailing Carlos Zambrano, who has 13. So Hendricks is 1-6 with a 4.83 ERA lifetime against the White Sox, but nothing to worry about. Kyle was locked in. He didn't give up his first hit against the Sox until the 5th inning against who else? Eloy Jimenez.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, God. He'd eventually come around to score, but Kyle pitched 6.1 innings and gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. So, that ballpark just is not – Kyle's had so many struggles there. Like I said, 1-6. I mean, you don't expect that. And we're talking about, 2016, 17. We're talking about when they had some great teams,
Right. Yeah, they've been a bugaboo team for him for sure. But another quality start for Kyle Hendricks, so that's a good sign.
Absolutely, and I'm excited. And then the offense continued their hot streak in the second. Saya reached on an error by Tim Anderson and Dansby Swanson. This game for Dansby, he hit a home run, and the Cubs were up 2-0.
And I think the game at that point, Crawly, the game was over at that point. Tim Anderson set the tone with that awful, awful effort on that play.
He doesn't want to be there, man. He wants to be somewhere else. And not only that, immediately after, back-to-back jacks, Christopher Morel went yard to make it 3-0. In the 4th, Dansby hits his second home run to make it 4-0. Now, the 5th inning, this is fun because Nico just had one heck of a series here. He singles, right? Steals second, advances to third on a ball to hat. Then Cody Bellinger hits a ball to right fielder Oscar Colas, and Oscar's coming in. It's not like he's backing up. This is a play that I'm thinking, what are you doing here, Nico? Tags up. The ball beats Nico totally. Brilliant slide, gets around the tag, and the Cubs are up 5-0. Great base running by Nico.
It was great base running. I since it was a Sox-Cubs game, I don't know if you heard this or saw anything on social media from some Sox fans, but Nico wears that, for lack of a better term, kind of like that oven mitt on his right hand, I believe, when he slides into bases. It's like a padded thing so you don't jam up a finger. Right. And people were complaining that he was getting, a couple extra inches with that oven mitt on and reaching base sooner than he should have. And I thought a little bit about the 25-year-old me, and if the roles were reversed, I might have had the same reaction had a Sox player had that on their hand.
Right. I've seen other players have done it. I've heard the complaints, and until MLB makes a rule about it, it's good to go. And no one's saying that Tim Anderson can't put it on his hand.
Right. No, but he'd want to be involved if that was the case, as you had mentioned earlier.
But Nico would also homer in the 7th. Again, what a game for Nico. And Dansby would drive in his 4th run on an RBI single. The Cubs are up 7-1. No problem, right? Wrong. This is Cubs Sox we're talking about. This one, it is never over when these two teams meet. It's like the Cardinals Cubs, White Sox Cubs. Throughout the records, there is a little bit of pride involved. In the bottom of the 7th, right? Kyle Hendricks is still on the mound. The White Sox load the bases, and up comes Yoan Moncada up to bat, all right? He hits one to right field, and Seiya Suzuki makes the best defensive play of his Cubs career, catching a ball over the wall and bringing it back in, and instead of a grand slam, 4 runs, it's a sac fly, 1 run, and the Cubs still lead 7-2. What a play by Seiya.
So right now, that is for me, Crawly, and correct me, please. It's okay if I'm wrong. That is his signature Cubs moment at this point. That is the biggest, most impactful moment, at least for this fan, that Seiya Suzuki has made. I also liked how he kind of just smiled and grinned, act like he had done that before, been that, done that, kind of gave the nod of the head. No big deal. So kudos to Seiya Suzuki. That was awesome.
Defensively, clearly the best play of his Cubs career. And it was funny because afterwards someone asked Dansby why he didn't high five Seiya. He said, that's what I expect out of Seiya.
That's right.
That's the leadership coming through right there.
Yep.
The Sox would score one more run in the 7th, but that would be it. Leiter and Fulmer came in out of the bullpen, and Adbert Alzolay looked filthy. Struck out the side in the 9th for his 10th save. Everything about this first game was fantastic. The offense scored 7 runs on 13 hits. Nico, 3 for 5 with a home run. Swanson, 3 for 3 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs. Morel, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Pitching looked great. Bullpen looked great. Defense solid. And the Cubs stole 5 bases. According to Chris Kampka, from 1901, modern day baseball to the present, the Cubs have had 4+ home runs and 5+ stolen bases in a game only once. And that was that game against the Sox.
That is an amazing statistic. We use that on the Mully and Haw show as well. And kudos to Chris Kampka for being able to figure that kind of stuff out. I couldn't do it.
They go digging through the research, man, so we don't have to. So hat tip to Chris. He's a great guy.
Yep.
Now,
all right, so the Cubs are up 1-0 in the series. It's a 2-game series. Not that we like those kinds of things. We talked in the last podcast about how we believe this series should be shaping up these days. But Marcus Stroman, Lance Lynn, game number 2, and it was last night.
Yeah, and we joked about it. Plenty of scouts in the stands, and this was not the game either team wanted to play if they were looking for any trade value for some of their chips, especially the starting pitchers.
No. The starting pitchers were not. There were moments. Both guys had moments, but no quality start for either guy here.
No, Marcus Stroman struggles continued. He gave up 2 runs in the first to who else? Eloy Jimenez hits a 2-run single.
Cubs.
2-run single put up the Cubs 2-0. Cubs were able to tie it up in the top of the second with RBI singles by Tucker Barnhart and Nico Horner, but the Sox would retake the lead in the bottom of the second, but that wasn't 100% Stroh's fault. With 2 outs, and Benintendi walked, and then with Tim Anderson up on a 2-2 count, 3-1 count, he ends up throwing the pitch, Stroman, and Tucker Barnhart throws a back pick, so they catch Benintendi off of first. But Cody Bellinger thought it was ball 4 and let Benintendi reach second without a throw. So, Cody's not, he's a center fielder. Let's put it that way, but I like how they've been lining it up with Tauchman leading out and Bennett and Bellinger playing first. I think that's their best lineup. But that was a mistake that he, that a real first baseman doesn't make. You know what I'm saying?
I know, right. And you said you were out at the National. I was cheating on Pat and Ron and Zach last night. I was watching on the TV, so I was with Marquee. They couldn't even describe it. They're like, I don't know what's going on right now. It was so bizarre, like what he was doing. And luckily that didn't come back to haunt the Cubs. but a very bizarre play, and that should have been the third out of the inning. And instead, as you mentioned, TA would end up driving him in.
Driving him in makes it 3-2. And then, as we've been saying a lot when Stroh pitches lately, the wheels fell off in the fourth inning. Jake Berger led off with a home run to make it 4-2. And then Mike Tauchman made a mistake. He let a fly ball by Oscar Colas drop in front of him. Benintendi would single.
But real quick, okay? What happened first? Berger led off the inning with a home run. Then Tauchman made the mistake. So, is Marcus Stroman, again, not mentally tough enough to handle what happened with Cody Bellinger? Is that the issue? Is there a hangover thing? He can't just let it roll off his back? Because
I think
the home run to Berger, Stroh, that's on you. That's not on. That's on you. Jake Berger took your ass out. That's on you. Period.
So Joe Girardi on the post game on Marquee talked about it a little bit. And this is kind of the date you circle with Stroman was the London game that Sunday.
Yep. It's got like a London hangover going on.
No, the blister is more of the issue. And there's a question if that blister is affecting how he's throwing his slider, because that slider was a dominant pitch for him in the first half of the season. And so there may be some issues with once that blister happened, he starts throwing it a little bit different. It's not getting the same movement. That's what Joe Girardi said, that, and that's something that I think we got to, look deeper into. So,
not buying it.
Okay. Benintendi would single. Anderson walked to load the bases. Luis Robert hit one to Dansby, but Anderson beats the throw to second. Everyone's safe. And the Sox would lead 5-2. And then who else? Eloy Jimenez. He is going to double again, and 2 runs would score, and the Sox were up 7-2. Stroh's night's over. He only went 3.1 innings. He gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. Not good enough.
No, not good enough, especially for a team that, they were hitting ground balls last night. I was a little disappointed. I don't know if you watched the replay of Eloy's double. I feel like that's a ball that Mastrobuoni should have had. I mean, maybe they're playing too far in at that point. I was disappointed in that play immensely.
I think the defense didn't look great. Again, this is a second, he's had some bad luck with the defense lately. They're not all on him. Like you said, the Berger home run, I want to say it was on a slider. I think there's issues mechanically right now with Stroh.
Sliding's just not sliding enough.
Right.
After the game, Stroman did talk about there's a mechanical glitch right now.
Right.
He never referenced the blister. He was never asked about the blister. Again, I have all the respect in the world for Joe Girardi. Don't get me wrong, but there was just none of that.
Let me
in the game.
Let me put it this way. Why is Cody Bellinger doing so great? Well, a lot of people said after he injured his shoulder on a high five, I think with Kike Hernandez, when he was with the Dodgers, all of a sudden trying to, when you have those injuries and you're trying to kind of play but not in pain, you alter some things, right?
Yeah. And
so that could be what is happening. You can talk to Tommy Hotovy when he's on the Mully and Haw show.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah. Ask him if he's noticed anything about the blister and affecting the slider. But that would be something I would definitely want to know.
Yep. On the list.
So you take a look here, and like I said, Tauchman, just kind of made that mistake. And so luckily the Cubs were playing the White Sox, and the Cubs offense has been on fire lately. In the top of the 5th, get this, Dustin, this Cubs scored 6 runs on 3 hits without the benefit of a home run. How is that possible?
It was unbelievable, Crawly. I just, look behind the curtain. I already said it this morning on the Mully and Haw show, but I started in the basement last night where I'm doing this podcast from, watching the game, not going the Cubs way. I moved up to the living room. It got a little bit better, but still not going the Cubs way. I moved back to the basement. Eloy gets the 2-run double. I go lay in bed, and then everything changed.
Everything, right?
So,
Tauchman leads off with a single. Then Nico's hit by a pitch by Lance Lynn. Ian Happ singled to score Tauchman at 7-3. Bellinger flies out for the first out, and then Seiya Suzuki walked to load the bases. So Dansby Swanson strikes out swinging, but with 2 outs and down 0-2, Lynn makes a mistake. Morel singles. Horner and Happ score. That makes it 7-5. And then an error on Benintendi allowed Seiya to take third. Let me say, Morel has really been clutch. He didn't just really a nice play by Morel to kind of stay with it, not try to do too much and keep it going for the next guy. Joe Kelly, another trade chip for the White Sox and former Dodger, right? He would come in to replace Lance Lynn. With 2 outs, Kelly strikes out Miles Mastrobuoni, but the ball hits the dirt, careens off the catcher. Suzuki scores. Mastrobuoni reaches first on a strikeout, and now the Cubs are down 7-6. That should have been
just right. You couldn't make this stuff up. There was is it a GIF? Is that how you say it, Crawly? Is it a GIF?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was GIF. Some people.
Okay. There was a GIF going around of the White Sox. It was captioned White Sox playing defense, and I saw this before the game. This was before the game. Okay, and it made me laugh. And it is a T-ball. It's a T-ball game. So the kid up the bat hits the ball about, I don't know, 4 inches off the tee. 11 kids come running in. Everybody wants the ball, including, the catcher's trying to get it. Everybody's running in to get the ball. Meanwhile, the kid is going he's shuffling his feet like an old man or a penguin. Then he does a cartwheel down the first base line and still gets down to first before they can get him. And the kids were booting the ball all over the place. It was a very funny GIF if I'm using it right.
Right. And it absolutely felt like that, Yeah. And so then, right, Joe Kelly would then hit Yan Gomes to load the bases. He walks Mike Tauchman to tie the game. Then he would walk the next batter, Nico Horner, and the Cubs take an 8-7 lead. Thanks, Sox.
You couldn't write that script, right? You couldn't. It'd be like, oh, really? Come on, give me a break. There's no chance that would ever happen. I mean, you couldn't write that script. If I were Joe Kelly, I wouldn't have been able. I would have walked out of the ballpark. I wouldn't have been able to walk into the dugout. I'd have taken my jersey off, crawled into the stands, and walked out of 35th and Shields. It was so bad.
I mean, to think about that inning, the hit by pitches, the errors, the strikeout that gets away from the catcher, walks. I mean, it was just a disaster. And then luckily the Cubs hit back-to-back jacks for the second night in a row and happened. Bellinger hit insurance home runs in the 8th. The Cubs go on to win 10-7, 8 unanswered runs by the Cubs offense. And thank you to the poor White Sox play. But hat tip to the bullpen, who came in and shut it down when Stroman couldn't get the job done. Assad has been looking great lately. This is the guy we expected coming out of the World Baseball Classic. Came into the game in the 4th, got out of the jam, pitched 1.2 innings. Julian Mayweather pitched 2. Leiter and Alzolay each pitched 1. 5.2 innings of shutout ball for the pen. So great job there.
Yeah, and I heard Rossi after the game really went out of his way to make sure that he pointed that part out because there were plenty of offensive stars and other things to talk about, but he wanted to make sure that the bullpen got the tip of the hat, as you put it.
Right. And the Cubs are doing exactly what we said they needed to do. When we got into after the All-Star break, and we're talking about this week part of their schedule right here. You talked about Boston was going to be tough. We knew that. But then you talked about the Nationals, 4 with the Cardinals, 2 with the White Sox, and another 4 with the Cardinals. We said that if they want to be buyers, they're going to have to make a run here. So they're doing exactly what we thought they needed to do. They're 1 game away from the 500 mark, the same place they were entering the second game of the London series, right?
Absolutely.
So the Cubs are looking to go into St. Louis and prove that Jed should be a buyer and not a seller. And a lot of people are making this comps to that 2021. It was the Atlanta Braves. And they were roughly around, I think they were 49-51, very similar to the Cubs. And they bought a couple pieces, not even big pieces. It was like Jock Peterson actually was from the Cubs. They made a trade for Jock Peterson. They made a trade for another Cub, Jorge Soler. They got hot. They went on a run. So the question is, can the Cubs do that? And for me right now, I do have question marks with Stroman and Smiley, right? If the Cubs are going to try to make a Brave-esque run of 2021, they need those guys on the top of their game.
Yeah, you're going to need those guys. And Joe Girardi today was on with Mully and Haw, and he said the Cubs need a bat and they need an acquisition in the bullpen. That's what Joe Girardi wants for the Cubs over the next couple of days. But he does make it known that they still need to probably take 3 or 4 from the Cardinals. You can't lose that series. You don't want to split either. This is the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode 56. Cubs sweep the Sox. Cubs sweep the Sox. I can't get enough saying that, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. All right. Before we get into the news and the notes, how about the standings, Crawly?
Yeah, when you take a look at the standings, a lot of things are starting to get really interesting. And I know not everybody likes the new format. I don't know even if I like it all that much as far as the postseason. But you know what? It allows you to dream, I guess, instead of thinking you're out of this. So if we take a look here, the Milwaukee Brewers still in first. They're 6-4 in their last 10, and so is Cincinnati. So Brewers at 57-46, Cincinnati at 56-48, 1.5 games back. But the Cubs riding this 5-game winning streak are at 50-51. They're 6 games back. But it doesn't, when you think about that, in the loss column, they're not, they're only 5 games back. So St. Louis 46-57. St. Louis has been playing good. It's just that the Cubs were able to take 3 out of 4 from them. They're 6-4 in their last 10, but 3 of those losses came from the Cubs.
Right.
And then Pittsburgh is also 11.5 games at 45-57. But we're getting to the point right now, Dustin, where you're also watching the wild card. And in the wild card, the Cubs are 4.5 back. And you got a couple teams that are really struggling ahead of them, okay? You got Arizona, who is a half a game out of a wild card spot. They've lost 3 of their last 10. Miami are half a game out from a wild card spot, and they're 2 out of their last 10, okay? So they're 2-8. So the Cubs are 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. So, Arizona, Miami, they have tough parts of their schedule coming up. Miami's starting to make moves already. The question is, what's going to happen to some of these teams in front of the Cubs? San Francisco has been struggling a little bit. The trouble you have here is, you're talking about trying to jump 2, 3, 4 teams roughly, to kind of get in this thing.
Yeah, not the super easiest thing to do, that's for sure. Go ahead and just win the division. Then you don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah, I would not mind that at all.
All right, Crawly, let's move into the newsy part of the podcast. All the draft picks have signed.
Yep, Jackson Wiggins is the last. He signed at about the last possible minute. So the Cubs have all 20 of their draft picks signed. Shaw, Wiggins, Rivera, Sanders. I mean, all of these guys, I saw on Fangraphs, they had the Cubs rated as the number 3 farm system. We have been preaching this since day one of the podcast. I truly believe that the Cubs have an absolute great farm system and development system going on right now that I think will absolutely pay dividends. It's you want it to be now, but I have a feeling that if they can keep, I like the guys that they have in charge of everything right now. If they can keep this up, you're going to see, I'm hoping for a Dodger-esque type run.
All right. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. I thought of you, Crawly, about 3 or 4 podcasts ago. We got the Cubs schedule for 2023. Yesterday, we got the spring training schedule.
So excited.
You buy a plane ticket yet?
We're debating what week we're going to go. I'm kind of, circling a couple of dates. So they're going to start on February 23rd against the White Sox at Sloan Park.
How about that? Open with the White Sox.
Beautiful. And then, gosh, it's so tempting to go to that just because that's also,
you're going to see a lot of guys wearing 70s and 80s and 90s in that game. So,
well, the Extra Innings Festival with Ryan Dempster, we had him on previously on the podcast talking about it. It's a great party, and it happens that first weekend. And opening day at spring training is always a blast. They have a lot of fun games. I'm looking right now. There's a good week right over there where they have some good games about that third week where they play the Angels, Seattle, and Colorado at Sloan. That right now is looking like where I'm kind of headed right there. And then how about some fun here? The St. Louis Cardinals, who play in the Grapefruit League, are going to play 2 games at Sloan Park Monday and Tuesday to end spring training.
They must be opening out west or something, huh?
Correct. And so I believe Arizona. So, they do this every now and then. I think it was it 2018, I think it was 2018. I went and I got to see the Cubs play Boston in Fort Myers
Okay.
for a spring training game, and then the Cubs opened up in Miami.
Yeah. And then the Cubs also used to do like the end of spring training in Vegas on their way back to Chicago.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and so if you have not been to spring training, I would highly recommend it. It is absolute blast, and I will be there again this year.
All right, something else I know that's very important to you. Marquee direct-to-consumer announcement has been made. There is an app.
Yes, sir. So you might be saying, Crawly, well, how's this different from any other app? Well, as you know, Dustin, a lot of people, I would say a little bit younger people than us, but a lot of people are cutting the cord, and they still want to watch Cubs baseball, but not have to pay an exorbitant cable bill. And so this has been something that's been going around for a while, direct to consumers. What if you could, just like an HBO app, have a Marquee app and be able to watch the game without having a cable subscription? So I have the Marquee app on my phone, but I have a cable subscription. But what if you didn't? So a lot of people for a while, they had YouTube TV. They stopped carrying Marquee. A lot of people I know right now have Fubo or whatever. And so there's a lot of things you can do. But this, if you are a Cub fan, this is an app that will allow you to watch everything on Marquee without having a cable subscription. Now, there's a couple things we got to talk about here when we're talking about this. Okay. Number one, it is for in-market Cubs fans only.
Yeah, it's still an issue, and that's not a Marquee thing. That's on Major League Baseball.
That is an MLB issue. So if you are sitting yourself in Las Vegas right now thinking to yourself, oh man, I can't wait to get the Marquee app and watch everything Marquee has to offer, you're out of luck still. Now,
not so fast, my friends.
Right. The good thing is a lot of people in Iowa will have the opportunity to get the Marquee app full features, which is something that hasn't happened in the past. And I just came back from Iowa. Iowa Cub fans are some of the best Cub fans. And, they get to watch them before they come up there and they make connections with them. So I'm excited for the people there. But, I love Marquee and its content. I love the documentaries. I love the pre and post. I love a lot about it. Some other features that are going to come.
Do you love the WAC women's lacrosse games?
Not as much. I'm talking more the baseball content. And Dustin, don't forget that the Chicago Blackhawks contract comes up relatively soon.
Is that a rumor you're hearing, Crawly? Are you hearing something?
I'm just saying, kind of keep an eye out for that.
The passing of Rocky Wirtz might lay that groundwork.
Not only that, the Cubs and the Blackhawks have had connections before. We know with John McDonough. And so just something to kind of keep an eye out. The other thing about this app is that it features a higher resolution game feed. A lot of people have these awesome TVs, but right now the feeds don't kind of match up with what your picture can do. The first time I saw an MLB game in 1080p was when the Cubs played their first Apple TV game.
Yeah, and that's a great broadcast. The visuals are great. The broadcast is awful. I don't know where they get those announcers from. The other day I was watching that game on Friday, right? Wasn't the Friday of Cubs Cardinals?
Yeah.
Apple TV?
Apple TV, yeah.
Oh, I don't know who those guys were, but it may as well have been my students at the Illinois Media School. They do a better job than those guys. But the picture, Crawly, fantastic.
So we're going to get Boog and JD. We are going to get that high resolution picture. There's going to be feed, game highlights, player interview. They're going to have 200 live Cubs affiliated games each year. You will not get nationally televised broadcast. Again, that's not a Cub thing. That's an MLB thing. So if it's on Apple TV, you're out of luck. You'll get spring training games, minor league games. You got the Cubs 360 press
conferences. The road to Wrigley.
The reporters, clashes in session with Doug Glanville. And so I personally, like I said, I'm very excited about this. If you're somebody that's cut the cord, the app looks really nice. And so you can watch it on your cable like normal, but I am no longer watching Cubs games through my cable. I'll be watching it directly through the app, which you can download on your smart TV.
All right, that's very, very interesting. All right, some roster moves, some injury moves. Nick Madrigal is going to become an Iowa resident. He's still playing third base for them.
Yeah, he so far he's played a couple games. He's played second, he's played third. He had a day off, but would be great to get Nick Madrigal out and hopefully he can continue off where he left off before.
And Miles Master Boney can go back where he belongs.
Miles hasn't been playing too well, and again, it's a left-handed bat. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but a couple other injuries to kind of keep in mind right now. You do have Brad Boxberger, Nick Birdie, and Brandon Hughes all continuing their rehab. I would say Nick Birdie is by far the closest of the three. I don't know if we're going to see Boxberger again this season, and Brandon Hughes is just playing catch. I never like when they say playing catch because it's still going to take some time. Nick Birdie's throwing some bullpens. I think that Birdie may make it back, but we'll see what the Cubs are going to do, depending on if they are buyers, right? If they're buyers, well then I don't know if Nick Birdie's going to be able to come up, but if they are sellers, he's someone that you could possibly see later on.
This is season 2, episode 56 of the Fly the W670 podcast. Cubs sweep the Sox. All right, Crawly, it's time to do it. It's time to preview the Cardinals. I got to say, Cardinals, White Sox, Cardinals. That's raw. That's a lot of my favorite parts of the Cubs season, all bottled up into 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just all right there. I'm not exactly a big fan. The Cubs have played the Cardinals 3 times so far. They played in early May with St. Louis taking 2 out of 3 at Wrigley Field. They split the London series in June. That technically was a Cardinals home series. And then the Cubs played another series at Wrigley last week, another 4-game series where they took 3 of 4. It was a wild one, Dustin. You remember game 1 had Steven Matz, who hadn't won a game all season, beating Marcus Stroman 7-2 in a very frustrating game. And then the next game on Friday, the Friday night, the Apple TV game you were talking about.
Friday afternoon on Apple TV.
Apple TV. Yeah.
Nail biter. Yep.
Justin Steele and Jack Flaherty, and thankfully an umpire's bad call allowed the Cubs to hold on to this one. Again, we'll take it, but was that a bad call? And then that wild game on Saturday.
Rain delays, Cubs come back from down 4 times.
4 different times that the Cubs had to come back. And that was that weird opener with Michael Fulmer starting and Smiley coming in. Michaelis pitched that one. He went 5 innings and gave up 5 earned runs in that one. So that was a wild one. It's always wild when the Cubs play the Cardinals, right? And then the Sunday game, which saw Jamison Tyone beat Jordan Montgomery 7-2. And so that was the one where the offense really, really looked good, and they continued it against the White Sox.
All right, so we've got our probables now, Crawly, huh?
Yeah, we got our probables, and game 1 to me looks like a really interesting matchup. The Cubs are going to have their best out there on the mound, so that
they need it tonight. I think they need it, Crawly. I think it's a lot of energy used up in those 2 games against the White Sox.
Right, and Justin Steele has been pitching well, 10-3 with a 2.95 ERA. The Cubs All-Star. He went 6.1 innings and gave up only 2 earned runs last week against St. Louis. Struggled against Boston, but most of the Cubs did. And then against Milwaukee, he went 6 innings and gave up 3 earned runs. And like I said, this one right here, you got Miles Michaelis going for the Cardinals, and he's someone, he hasn't been as good against the Cubs recently, but he's still a guy that I don't know. Gives me kind of the creeps here, but he's 6-5 with a 4.33 ERA. He only went 5 innings against the Cubs last week. He gave up 11 hits, 5 earned runs. Against Miami, though, he pitched really well. He went 6 innings and gave up 3 runs. And against Washington, which isn't the biggest deal, he only went 3 innings, but he gave up 0 earned runs. So that's to me an exciting matchup for the Cubs. We'll see what happens, but I'd really like them to get off on the right foot here.
Yes, it would be nice to get things going right off the bat. There's no doubt about it. We get into the game number 2. That's Friday, and we've got TBD. What number does he wear, Crawly?
The old legendary TBD. David Ross refused to name a starter in what would be Drew Smyly's spot. We've talked about Drew Smyly and his ballooning ERA. He's getting close to 8 here recently as far as for the last month. I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm I'm telling you, I was in Iowa last weekend and saw Hayden Wesniewski, and that was nasty. That was not Wesniewski. That was Wes Nasty. Now, people are going to say, Crawly, he's throwing against AAA. I'm talking more about the movement of his pitches. I was right by the Cubs dugout, first row behind the Cubs dugout, and I'm watching, and that's what I saw that I didn't see from the first half from Hayden Wesniewski. It's like the slider had no bite. And so I am very curious because we don't know what Ross is thinking. Is he going to try the opener again, or are they going to call somebody up to take his spot? And if they do, what are they going to say? Are they going to say put him in the bullpen? Are they going to say he has a forearm tightness? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I hope it's Wesniewski. I mean, that would make all the sense in the world. I don't want another Fulmer Smiley. I still need an answer. We talked about Tommy Hotovy joining the Mully and Haw show. I still need a clear answer about why you wouldn't start Smiley, but then the first guy after Fulmer is Smiley.
Right. Huh? Good question.
I don't understand it. I don't understand.
The Cubs are going to be taking on Jordan Montgomery in this game. He's 6-8, but the ERA looks good at 3.37. So he might be just one of those guys that team doesn't play well when he starts for whatever reason. Sometimes I've noticed that too with Stroman, like he was not getting run support. Now defense has kind of looked a little sloppy behind him lately. But against the Cubs, he went 6 innings, gave up 5 runs. So on 6 hits, with 2 walks. So hopefully the Cubs can get at him again. He had a good start against Miami. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned run, and he had a good start against the White Sox. 4.1 inning, he only gave up 1 run. So, this was the game that you're nervous about because you don't know who's starting, who's playing, anything like that.
Right. All right. Game number 3. Like this pitching matchup. I think it's very intriguing. We got Jamison Tyone versus Adam Wainwright. Now, will Adam Wainwright make this start, or will he be moved before then?
I don't think he's moved. I'm looking here, and
no value there.
I guess you could, but you know how the Cardinals get sentimental about stuff like this.
Yeah, you wonder, right?
Right. I don't, and then with them signing Wilson, I really don't know what the front office is thinking right now. But he is Jamison Tyone's 4-6. Remember that ERA was close to 8. It's now down to 5.75. And
let's keep it that way.
Right. Against St. Louis last time went 5.2 innings, only gave up 1 earned run on 7 hits. Great start. Against Washington, 5.2 innings, gave up 3 runs. And that great start against the Yankees, which kind of started this string where he went 8 innings, gave up 1 hit and 0 earned runs. So we need Tyone to keep going, especially with the question marks surrounding Smiley.
Yes, we do. We need another good game out of him. As you mentioned, Adam Wainwright, not so hot so far this year.
Yeah, 3-4, 7.31 ERA. I mean, I don't know, like I said, how many people want to pick him up, but he looked good in his last start against the Diamondbacks. But like I said, the Diamondbacks have been making a lot of teams look good lately. They've been struggling. He went 5 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs. Against Miami, though, he went 3.1 inning, gave up 7 hits, 4 earned runs. And then against Houston, he went 1.2 and he got shelled. He gave up 6 earned runs in the 1.2 innings. But this is the thing that makes you nervous in these 4-game series. Same thing when we talk about Smiley, is if you get a guy that gives you a short start, you know what I mean? You don't get that usual break that you do sometimes when you only play 3-game series. So let's see what Adam Wainwright does. But that's with the way the Cubs offense has been playing lately. I like the Cubs odds in that one.
Yeah, I like them too. I'm not going to disagree with you there at all. And then Sunday is the last game, the 4th game. And the other thing, Crawly, just for the audience, we've got 4 different start times.
Ridiculous.
4 games and 4 different start times. So make sure you're following on social. The games Thursday, Friday, Saturday are all in the evening. Sunday is your traditional afternoon job.
Yeah, don't know what baseball's thinking sometimes with some of this stuff, and only 1-day game. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have a nice Saturday day game in St. Louis? Although with the weather down there and how hot it is, I bet the players are very thankful.
Wear a little gold bond, you'll be okay. All right, so game 4, you got Kyle Hendricks against Steven Matz.
4-4 with the 3.45 ERA for the professor. You saw what he did against the White Sox, 6.1 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. Against Washington, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. And then that bad start he had against that hot Boston team he went 4.2 and gave up 5 earned runs. But I like what the professor is doing. Steven Matz. Oh boy, 1-7 this year, but his ERA now is down to 4.34. He is looking better as of late, and he may be pulling a JMO of himself. Like, this is one you should be like, all right, easy win, right? Look at that, 1-7. But he didn't get a decision against Arizona when 6 innings pitched and gave up 0 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. So that shows you something there. Against the Cubs, he went 5-point innings. He gave up 3 hits, only 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. And so the last couple of games have been good. Against Washington, he went 4.1, gave up 4 earned run with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. So he's starting to look like he's turned a corner here. He's walking a lot less, striking out a lot more, and going a lot deeper. So this is not, again, the one where you could circle and be like, oh yeah, easy, no problem.
No, none of them, like we mentioned before, none of them are okay, no problem. When you're talking about Cubs, Cardinals, you throw the records out, as they like to say. All right, how about the hot and the not?
As far as the hot and the not are concerned, we're taking a look at Nico Hoerner. What a series that guy had against the White Sox, whether you're talking about home runs or stolen bases or everything, just looked great. He is 9 for his last 19 with a home run, 3 RBIs, slashing 474, 566, 727. Also on the hot list is Dansby Swanson, 7 for his last 16, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, slashing 438, 500, 875.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
Not going to complain at all in that.
The nots?
Seiya Suzuki's slowing it down a little bit. He's 4 for his last 19 with 2 RBIs, slashing 211, 348, 211. So hopefully he can kind of get back into where he needs to be. Mike Tauchman, 3 for his last 19. He does have 2 RBIs. He's slashing 158, 200, 211 in his last 7 days.
Yeah, Mike Tauchman not been fantastic, but still like how they're using him. All right, so hot for the Cardinals, and this first name is familiar to everybody. He's turned a little bit of a corner.
Wilson Contreras, 5 for his last 10 with 2 RBIs. He's slashing 500, 538, 600. He's been hitting over 300 against the Cubs, so look out. And then Dustin, your favorite player, Lars Nootbaar with the Chewy Nugget center. 7 hits in his last 17 at-bats, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, slashing 412, 583, 824 for Mr. Nootbaar.
Nootbaar.
As far as the nots are concerned, a couple of outfielders. Tyler O'Neill is 5 for his last 22 with 3 RBIs. He's slashing 227, 323, 18. And so, and the other would be rookie Jordan Walker's really struggling. He's 2 for his last 13, 154, 313, 231. You know how these rookies can. Their whole outfield right now, whether you're talking about O'Neill, Carlson, Alec Burleson plays some, Jordan Walker, their whole outfield is really struggling. So that's kind of an issue. And Goldschmidt slashing 250, 375, 550. He does have 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. So when that guy's struggling, he's still a good player.
Yeah, he's still a very, very good player. All right, Crawly, it's that time in the show. It's prediction time.
Okay. I like game 1 for the Cubs, steal over Michaelis.
All right.
I like game 3.
I think my whole prediction rides on tonight's game.
Right. I like Tyone over Wainwright. And then Hendricks versus Matz, I see as a draw. So like you said, game 2, it's so hard here. I am going to try to will the Cubs to victory and say they take 3 out of 4. I'm mentally putting that out there so the baseball gods can hear me.
Yes, 3 out of 4 is where I'm going as well, but I'm going to reserve the right. If they don't win tonight, then it's 2-2, and they're going to come back one game under 500. I'm hoping that they take 3 of 4, and that when we get back together, we are talking about a 500 Cubs team that are going to be buyers, Crawly. They're going to be buyers on Monday.
It's not easy. You hope that the Cubs are hot at the right time, and the Cardinals would love nothing more than to spoil the Cubs season. And so, you know what, man, what impressed me about the last time they played is that there was times where it looked like the Cardinals were going to do their thing and spoil it for the Cubs, and the Cubs never stopped fighting. And what I've seen from this team right now, especially since the return of Dansby Swanson and a little bit before, is that they realize the writing's on the wall, and they're going out and proving it. Again, these aren't the greatest teams in the world, but let's keep kind of riding this.
Let's ride it, baby. Let's ride it. So Both of us are going 3 out of 4, and we're back with you guys at some point on Monday. We will be talking about a 500 team as they're going to take on the Reds next.
Keep the faith, Cub fans, and let's get those dirty birds. Cheer them on. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!